What's up, Bulls Nation? It's the Bloody Horns podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Let's get into it, man. So we don't have to watch the Chicago Bulls play basketball for a week. They don't come back until next Thursday against the Boston Celtics. All-Star break could not have come at a better time for us. Last night's game, even the most optimistic Bulls fan knew the Cavaliers were going to come back. I think I said with 10, 11 minutes left in the game, I was like, watch, this is going to be a tied game with 15 seconds left. DeMar DeRozan's going to dribble it for 12 seconds and shoot a contested 22-footer. That's not exactly what happened, but it did kind of happen that way. Kobe took the tough shot at the end, and the Bulls lost the game. The Bulls pulled a Chicago Bulls. We all knew they were going to do it. We're still disappointed. So we don't have to watch them play basketball for a week. I, for one, am very excited about that. I love the Chicago Bulls, but this team does wear on you. This team does grate on you. And part of it's Nikola Vucevic. He was horrible last night. I don't know how people still defend the man, but they do somehow. Every time I post about him, I post that he has 25 shots or 25 points on 24 shots. Some idiot in the comments will be like, well, if you take the three-pointers out, he really shot about 50%. So it's like, that's exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, man. That's the inefficiency that you're making my point for me. So Vuce has supporters. I tweeted this morning. I'm like, is his season the most disappointing season a player has had in Bulls history that we can't complain about it, or that we can't blame on injuries? Like, we can't blame Zach LaVine for his bad year this year. He's injured. Even last year, he was injured coming into the year. If you expected more out of him, that's whatever. Kobe White's third year, he was coming off season surgery. I'm trying to think of others people threw out. Someone threw out Ron Mercer. I don't think anybody really had hopes for him. Eddie Robinson got thrown out. Didn't really have hopes for him. Rajon Rondo, he was old. I thought he actually exceeded expectations here, but you can say what you want about that. Somebody threw out Dwayne Wade. He was hurt, so I'm not going to count that. But the most interesting one was Carlos Boozer, because Carlos Boozer signed a max contract with the Chicago Bulls, and to a lot of people, he did not live up to expectations. Now, I take it with a grain of salt because a lot of people seem to think Carlos Boozer was something that he wasn't. If you watched him in Utah, he was a guy, he'd score on the low block, he'd hit the mid-range jumper, he set good screens, he crashed the boards. He did not play defense. He didn't protect the rim. There never should have been that expectation on Carlos Boozer, but somehow when he got to Chicago, everybody seemed to expect him to be a defensive stopper, to do what Joakim Noah, what Taj Gibson, what Luol Deng were doing on the defensive end, to mold with that and become a defensive player. And that's not what Carlos Boozer did. That's not even why the Chicago Bulls brought him in. The Chicago Bulls brought him in because they had good defenders, but they needed a guy who could get them a bucket when the possessions got tight. So Carlos Boozer, his first year here, he averaged 17 points a game, 9 rebounds. That year he was hurt. What did he do? He broke his hand or broke his wrist tripping on a suitcase. It was one of the dumbest injuries in NBA history. But he shot 51% from the field. He was way more efficient than Nikola Vucevic. This year, Nikola Vucevic, 17 and 10. He's shooting 47% from the field, which is horrible for a 7-footer. And he's shooting 27% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. So very inefficient player. Carlos Boozer's second year here, that dipped down to, I believe, 16 points a game. Still 9 rebounds, but his efficiency went up. He shot almost 54% from the field. Third year here, that was the Derrick Rose ACL year, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 51% shooting. And then his fourth year here, that's where the efficiency dipped. He went down to about 46%. So Carlos Boozer, you can say that. You can say he was a letdown. I never personally felt let down by him. And his worst season in Chicago was still more efficient than Vuce's season this year, because his worst season in Chicago, he shot a similar shooting split, but he didn't take threes. He didn't waste possession shooting up threes that nobody thought they had a prayer of going in. So I think Carlos Boozer was a much more efficient player than Nikola Vucevic. Both of them are traffic cones on defense. So you can't really compare that. If you're going to tell me Carlos Boozer if you're going to tell me Nikola Vucevic is a better defender than Carlos Boozer, I'm going to say that's like bragging that I can bench press more than Timothy Chalamet. It might be true, but that's not worth bragging about. So for my money, man, Nikola Vucevic, he is the most disappointing player. This season is the worst we've seen a player play that we can't blame injuries on. But let me know what you guys think in the comments here. Let me know how excited you are to get a break from the Chicago Bulls basketball team. If you're not following, follow this page. Social media handles all the same: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, @HornsBloody. I'm going to drop a podcast this weekend. It's going to be 5 questions the Chicago Bulls have to answer after All-Star break. 5 questions they got to answer to finish the season out. So look out for that. Take it easy, guys.